Hey, good to see you again. The factory sent over the parts that were looking good on the rig. They're being fitted as we speak. Have a look at the report.
Welcome back, guys, to F1 2016 career mode. We've got our chassis weight upgrade here for Hungary now, and I think we also got a second one, if I'm not mistaken there. We got the chassis weight and the downforce. There we go. So two big upgrades coming to the car for the Hungaroring, and I think it is important to have that downforce around here. We're moving in now. I think we're just on the verge of going into the second half of the season. Toro Rosso have upgraded their car, and we're leading our rivalry with Kimi Räikkönen. You can see now we are the fifth fastest team. There's still a bit of a gap between Red Bull and ourselves there, so just a little bit of the practice highlights as you come to understand. Track acclimatization looking really good. It was a weird one in Hungary. Like, some of the lines didn't feel quite as I expected. A fully perfect tyre wear test, which I'm getting used to that now, and I actually kind of enjoy it a lot more than at the start of the season. Qualifying pace, I can't remember if I hit the purple time. I think this might just be a green one here. No, it was the purple delta. It was the purple delta. So practice there just quickly scooped up all the points that we had available, and I was quite pleased with that. Hungary, weirdly enough, is a track I like. It wouldn't usually fit the style of track that I enjoy driving, but it's good fun. You know, I like some of the sections in it, and while the middle sector certainly isn't a strong point for myself, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. So let's get our goals for qualifying.
Hi, just letting you know that we've had the team's expectations through for the upcoming qualifying session.
Okay, so they want 9th, obviously, and then the usual sort of stuff. Beat Räikkönen and beat what's his name? Kevin Magnussen. That's the guy. I think this might be a jump straight into Q3, if I'm honest here. I can't 100% recall, but we're 6 tenths down on Räikkönen, who's currently provisionally quickest. We've gone a little bit wide there in one of the final corners, not quite hitting the apex. We've got the car in nicely, though, for this penultimate corner as Vettel goes fastest on a 120.9. We're going to be nowhere near troubling that as we go a little bit wide, but it allows us to swing the car around, get on the power nicely, opening up that DRS, and this is a 122.0. That puts us... Well, it put us third for the moment, then Rosberg came in and did the fastest lap time there. So that was indeed Q3. So we got our result. We got our 8th place, which is exactly, or the team wanted 9th. Kevin Magnussen got in the top 10 though, and he was half a second off of our pace. But we've split the Williams, but there's a big gap between myself and Felipe Massa that we're going to need to try and bring down. But 8th on the grid isn't too bad. It's a long run into turn 1 in Hungary at that tight hairpin corner, so I suppose we will see how that's going to pan out in the Grand Prix. We'll just be getting these resource points, because now that the upgrades are starting to cost a hell of a lot more, it's something that we're going to need to look to work towards, and we have to stack them before actually using those there. So Raikkonen, I think, he's going to overtake us here for the rivalry. Yes, he is, but that's not too much of an issue. And of course, Renault still love us because we're hitting pretty much every target they ever set for us, or at least breaking even. With that in mind, though, let's see what they want for the race. Okay, so pretty much, they want us to stay roughly whereabouts where we are, and then the usual other guff that goes as part of that. But I think, without further ado, it's time for the Hungarian Grand Prix.
It's always wonderful to come back to the lively Hungaroring. A popular destination, this, nice and close to the beautiful city of Budapest, with some exciting racing to boot. Who can forget Michael Schumacher pushing his old teammate Rubens Barrichello up towards the pit wall in 2010, or those great races of 2014 and 2015 as well. Located 12 miles northeast of the Hungarian capital Budapest, the 14 corners of the Hungaroring are steeped in history and prestige. Overtaking has always been difficult on this technical 2.7-mile circuit, but the last few years in particular have turned up some exceptional races. Let's hope we're in for another one here today. With me to enjoy it all is Anthony Davidson, a man who made his Grand Prix debut here with Minardi back in 2002. So, Ant, this is a bit of a special one for you, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I'd say so. I also stood in to commentate on Jensen's win in 2006, and as I was a test driver for Honda at the time, you can imagine that was quite an emotional Grand Prix. It's also a tough circuit on the drivers, this one too. Lots of long, slow corners that require a lot of patience from inside the car. Plus, it's a very downforce heavy circuit. I mean, it's all relative, of course, but if you're lacking a bit in downforce, or if you've got a bit of an imbalance in the setup, this is definitely one of the worst places to have to deal with that.
We're higher on the grid than we expected. Let's see if we can do even better.
With that then, let's run through the grid order. Nico Rosberg is on pole position today.
Okay, so here we go then. So we're straight into the formation lap. It would appear that I've cut the strategy element out of it there. So I can't recall what the strategy was here. I'm pretty sure we went for the two-stop of a set of soft tyres. Or we're starting on the super softs from Q2. And then we're going on to, I believe, what would be a set of soft tyres and then mediums. But now, as we built our 5 lights, and the Hungarian Grand Prix is go. Sticking up with a Rich straight away. Raikkonen's had a bad start. We're going to get past him. We're coming down towards turn 1 alongside Felipe Massa in the slipstream of Daniel Ricciardo there. We don't do anything too drastic into turn 1. Raikkonen goes down our inside. We try to squeeze it around the outside of him, see if we can get better traction. We've forced one of the Red Bulls out wide there as we go down towards the inside of Kimi. Contact between Ricciardo and oh, he swung across. I think he's hit Raikkonen. We go wide into turn 2 because of all the incidents. That allows Massa to go down our inside. We're going to force our way down the inside of him. And we're up into 4th place. Let's look at this again. So we're alongside with Raikkonen. It would appear Ricciardo's had contact with one of the Ferraris. And he's come straight across the track there. Probably no control of his car. And he's wiped out Kimi Raikkonen. On board with Lewis Hamilton. He's gone down to 3rd position. Oh, he's caught the rear of Ricciardo. That's caused him to swing across. And that's what's caused him to wipe out Kimi Raikkonen there. Here we go, on board. Daniel Ricciardo now, same move, and you can just see he's got nothing. The car bites, it swings across, just misses Vettel and hits the Ferrari of Kimi Raikkonen. And I think, yeah, look at all the cars stream past before he can get back into play there. His tyres are going to be just completely flat-spotted. Here it is from Raikkonen's point of view now, and you're going to see he's just going to miss Vettel, and there he had nowhere to go. Absolutely nowhere to go. That entire incident would be Lewis Hamilton's fault there. I think it would probably be viewed as a racing incident. But now those two have fallen way down the field now. End of lap 1. We're struggling to get the nose turned in. Marcus Ericsson is out of the Grand Prix. It apparently is all going on lap 1 here. As we come around, we see Ericsson. He's gone off wide off the track. Oh, he's been wiped out by his teammate. Felipe Nasr has come in and yep. Yeah, after Ericsson went wide, he wasn't coming back on the track in the best way possible here. Lap 3, we're still clinging on to the back of the leaders here. We've had Hamilton is now up, well, he's up in the 2nd place after the incident with Daniel Ricciardo. But we're clinging on nicely to them, it has to be said here. Now, of course, we are burning the fuel, and we're going to be swapping over to the soft compound tyre as the pit stop window comes. Lap 4 now, you see we're still hanging on. We're only 1.3 seconds behind Sebastian Vettel. You can see though behind us there's a huge gap, and we're going to have a look at that now. So this is the start of lap 4. This is Valtteri Bottas overtaking Felipe Massa into turn 1 using DRS, and then of course, you know, he's going to use it here to go down towards turn 2. Bottas then takes what would be 5th. So this was just behind us because we're up in 4th place. So Bottas is now essentially, you know, behind us on the road here. You can see us just up the road, and they just start slowing down. Like, I don't know if he's got engine related issues, but Massa and I believe that to be Verstappen get past, and now Bottas is just holding up the field. Like, he appears to have no drive, no power. You've got the Toro Rosso, K-Mag, the Force Indias. Oh, he's got a puncture. He's got a left front puncture. That's what it is. You just saw it there as he came round. He's super soft left front. That's allowed the Toro Rosso and K-Mag to get through. But essentially, that's built a ridiculous gap through to the leaders. And you saw one of the McLaren Hondas, I believe that's Jenson Button, on the medium tyre just getting past there. But that's allowed a huge gap to be built up between essentially the front running 4 and the rest of the pack. So here we go now, lap 6. You can see Verstappen now is up in the 5th place. We have... we had lost Vettel and Hamilton, but they've actually pulled into the pits. So we're now on lap 7 up into 2nd position of the Hungarian Grand Prix, and we cut to the end of the lap. We're going to be coming in for that soft compound tyre. I thought it was a good first stint, you know. We did well. We clung on much better than I anticipated us to. And I think it's going to be interesting to see where we're going to pull out here. As Rosberg, you can see there, is on the soft tyre. So that's how far ahead he is. Magnussen appears to be coming in on the same lap, but I think there's enough room for us to double stack. So we'll go on the soft tyres, yep. So that won't cost Magnussen any time whatsoever. Verstappen, Button goes through, Hamilton goes through. So Button's ahead of Hamilton, but I think Hamilton, with his DRS and Mercedes power, has got back through. Vettel's ahead of us now on the mediums. So I think I'm pretty sure that Vettel and Hamilton are on the medium compound tyre to run the softs later on. Big cut now later on onto lap 12 was we're behind Jenson Button, who started this Grand Prix on the medium compound tyre, and we're going to be bringing the car around nicely. He's on very worn mediums, we're on softs with DRS, but Button's got a half decent run out of the final corner. But here we go, here's the speed and the slipstream with DRS nicely into turn 1. Not too aggressive, just positioning the car beautifully and getting through there and looking to pull away from the McLaren Honda. Going a little bit wide into turn 2 there. We're reaching almost the halfway point of the Grand Prix, and we see now lap 14, we're coming around the final corner as Verstappen now, who has been broken free from behind the Williams, is on the soft compound tyre. We're going to move across to the right hand side, try and defend the inside line. Verstappen though with a good run, getting a bit of slipstream and DRS. We're going to brake though, force him out a little bit wide, and we're going to just about keep 4th place in the Hungarian Grand Prix, and he's not going to get too much of a chance to look at us into turn 2 even with the DRS there. Now lap 18 as we move on a little bit further into this race, and we're going to make a very late call. I believe I was meant to pit a lap earlier, but the softs were feeling okay, so we've made a late call and we've dived into the pits on lap 18. Verstappen's going longer. I believe he pit before us for his soft compound tyres in the first stint of the Grand Prix. So here we go, it's the second stop, lap 19, we're going on for another set of the soft tyres. So we're not running the mediums at any point in this Grand Prix, and this should hopefully see us through to the end. Of course, it is about 16 laps, whereas our first set of soft tyres did roughly around about only 13. So I don't know how the soft tyres are going to fare. We might need to do like a late pit stop onto super softs. But you can see we've come out behind Danny Kvyat now in 7th place. I think Kvyat has only pit once in this Grand Prix, so it's not strictly speaking a race for position as it were. But of course we don't want to get stuck behind him because we will lose a lot of time. We're in the slipstream as we come up to turn 5 here, and Kvyat very slow on his worn soft tyres. Oh, looking to go round the outside of him. Oh, we've made contact with the tyres. That's going to have cost us a bit of tyre life. Front wing appears to be okay. That's not too much of an issue. But Danny Kvyat there, pretty much, he put his Toro Rosso in the right place. It was probably just myself being a little bit overzealous there. But now we've just got to stick with him through these sort of like 80-mile-an-hour corners. Not lose too much time in the dirty air of the Toro Rosso. And we've just got to position the car nicely, get a good run as we head into the final sector, down the inside, and we're going to make that pass stick up into 6th position there. Beautiful stuff, nicely done on the fresher tyres. And now Button is ahead of us, so we know Button's pitted at least once because he's on soft tyres. Verstappen is now behind us once again, and he's pit twice now because he's now on medium tyres. So essentially it does look to the point here where I think Verstappen's on a 2-stop, and I'm starting to recall you heard the engineer say about super softs, so I believe we're on a 3-stop running super softs at the end of this Grand Prix. As now we've gone a little bit wide off the curb into the penultimate corner. Verstappen, of course, down the inside. He's going to get a good run, but we've got the inside line into the final corner. However, you saw it there. We were just behind him at the detection point. Therefore, we get the DRS. We will break the slipstream, as the slipstream is very powerful on F1 2016. And I had a quick look at the tyres, seeing if I could pull it out to the end to just do a 2-stop. But the front left is already at 55%. And I don't want another instance like Austria where we just completely fall off the cliff. And as such, I'm coming in on the end of lap 28. Kevin Magnussen's out the Grand Prix. Is it another engine failure for Kevin Magnussen? Yes, it is. He had one last time out in Silverstone. He's had one there again. But here we come now. Super soft tyres for the last 6-7 laps of the Grand Prix. You can actually see just ahead there, Button is also in the pits. So I think it's going to be a straight fight between myself and Button at the end of this race. Mono e mono on super soft tyres. And he's just ahead of us there. So we're going to come out of the pits now. On the 29th lap. Massa is the car behind us on medium tyres. So we shouldn't get challenged too much by him. It's now more to the point of seeing if we can track down Jenson Button using our spare fuel that I saved in the soft tyre stint. But we couldn't. If I'm honest, we couldn't. I mean, while the gap closed, as it were. In fact, no, I think it opened more to the point. I think that's a lap Sauber. We didn't catch Button. And, don't get me wrong, we came home 6th, which was 2 places higher than our grid slot. but I like to think we were definitely helped out by Ricciardo and Kimi Räikkönen hitting each other.
That's another historic win. Tell me, Ant, what was the key to this success?
Well, I'd say it's just raw pace, plain and simple. I mean, we could sit here and talk about strategy all day, the overtaking, looking after the tyres, but at the end of it all, if you want to win, you need a package that's got the speed over everyone else, and that's exactly what they had today.
So as I say that, we can see the drivers coming out now to collect their trophies. It's yet more silverware to take back to their base in Brackley after another excellent Grand Prix.
So there we go. We were the front of the 3 stoppers. It would appear that Kimi Räikkönen also came in 3 times, same as Felipe Massa. So the 3 stop, yeah, we finished 11 seconds behind Button in the end. But Button, you know, Button did a good drive. The Mercedes led, I mean, 1, 2 and 3. Verstappen climbed up, sort of like capitalised from his teammate and Räikkönen running into each other. But we're now up into 3rd place in the Drivers' Championship because we are now... we beat Räikkönen. Räikkönen finished 8th in the Grand Prix. So we're now up into 3rd in the championship, and Renault are 4th in the Constructors. So I think it's at the point now where our car's doing well enough to be scoring, you know, decent points constantly. And we just see the resource points that we've gained from the Grand Prix now, and we need to be stockpiling those for some big updates in the coming Grand Prix. We're not going to use any this time out, I believe, and I don't know how many we're going to get at Hockenheim will then depend on if we do any upgrades there. But you see Räikkönen once again, fastest lap, and he's now leading the rivalry once again. So, but it's another weekend done. It's 6th place. 6th place is, you know, it's pretty decent. You know, we were the fastest of the 3 stop runners. But yeah, not too bad. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Comment any feedback down below, and subscribe to be the first note about content coming to the channel. I'll see you all next time.